Hi, my name is Nicole Iverson, and this is my end of semester project. So my project is focused on comprehension skill work. I teach upper elementary, so our main focus during ELA time is the comprehension piece of reading. A lot of our students lack the foundational skills that come with comprehension, so I really wanted to make sure that when I have small group time, I can put that focus in on improving their comprehension skills. So the classwork is divided into two sections. The first section I'm going to be talking about is the comprehension itself. There are multiple different material pieces that you can explore through. So the first one being getting to know your book. So these are different book feature worksheets to explore the book that they're reading and understand where we can find everything and how we can use it while we read. So this first one can be used for almost any genre of book. It is very straightforward. The second one is more specifically geared toward nonfiction, as it has a few more in-depth structures to it, such as headings and illustrations, maps, captions, and so on. The second one is character descriptions. I believe that you have to understand your characters before you really understand the plot of the story. So with this, for the future of the comprehension work, you'll notice that there's videos attached. Sometimes there's two, sometimes there's one. My students really benefit from listening to someone other than me a lot of the times when it comes to new topics. So there's going to be videos that I show to my students, as well as worksheets that I also use with my students. So some are a little more in-depth, some are a little more basic. So this one is the title, author, and the character, and then 3 different sections of describing the character. And again, very straightforward, very basic. A lot of my students don't like looking at a lot of images on their worksheets, so I keep it very straightforward. And then I also have one where we compare 2 separate characters. A lot of the times I like to do a hero and a villain because the kids are very surprised at how many attributes that they share. Next, I move into sequencing and story events. You have to understand how the story works and moves through its plot before understanding what the main idea is and how we can really nitpick through those comprehension skills. So this first video is simply what is sequencing. It includes talking about words that hint at sequencing, so like first, second, then last. And this other one is a video of a short story that someone has created, and they walk you through identifying the sequencing within that story. So these again are more worksheets, order of events, 6 events on this one, and then this next one is a little more geared towards short passages of just 4 events. Now we get into the more nitty-gritty aspects of comprehension, so the main idea and supporting details. A lot of my students can identify the main idea, and then they fall flat when it comes to identifying the supporting details. So this lady that does these videos, you'll see this style thumbnail all the time. She explains what it is, goes through examples while talking you through it, and then has examples prompting you to go through these short passages with her. So there is a main idea worksheet. Very simple. What is the main idea? And then provide 3 details that support it. And then for those students that really struggle with just the supporting detail aspect of it, this strictly has them write down the details. They already know the main idea. I don't need that from them again. I just need the details. And this third column of what helped you decide is really where they start realizing, that's not so much a main idea detail, but it's kind of important to support the other details. So once they get to this one, I'm really looking for a yes or no. And a lot of the times, if the students find out that it's a no on their own, they know that the detail they picked is not a supporting detail. Cause and effect. I got a video, and then these are task cards that I like to place around the room for my students to get up and move. So they are given the cause for the first 6, and then they have to identify the effect. They're all different. Some are a little easier than others. So this first one is probably very straightforward, very easy. She fell asleep in the sun for 2 hours, and the effect of that would be that she got sunburned. The second half, so the next 6, are giving the effect. The students have to come up with the cause. So again, these are a little more challenging. Students have a harder time identifying the cause than they do the effect. So for the first one, the water turned to ice being the effect, meaning the cause would be it was put in the freezer or something of that matter. Now we get into making an inference and prediction. These two are typically the hardest skills for upper elementary students to grasp. They're not concrete, they're more abstract, which is what makes them so difficult. So for this one, I also have task cards. They come with little prompts and a single question for prompting that inference. So if we look at the first one, the room was a mess, pots and pans were piled in the sink, and drawers and cabinets were left open. Chocolate chips were spilled on the floor, and empty containers were left on a sticky counter, but the kitchen smelled delicious. The prompting question is, why is the kitchen a mess? Now, the chocolate chips is pretty much the dead giveaway for my students with this one. They would write it down on a blank sheet of paper and then come see me, and they've made cookies, chocolate chip cookies, and so on. Making predictions. Again, one of the harder skills for students to learn because it's more abstract. It's not concrete. They really can't find the answer in the book. It's something that they have to come up with themselves while they read or before they read. So this is a making predictions chart. What will happen in the story? Where can you find support for your prediction? And is your prediction correct? With predictions, there's really no right or wrong answer, which a lot of my students like. It's just they're a little frustrated that what they thought was going to happen didn't. And then finally, once you work through all of these steps, we get to some practice material. And I have 2 provided stories that they are from the Florida Center for Reading Research. With each story, there is a single bolded word, meaning that word is going to come up in the question. And then there are 8 questions that I have come up with. They are either straightforward basic comprehension, so how long has she lived there? And then they also range to inferencing and prediction. So do you think Marley will like her new home? And the same goes for the second one of Harry's Hiccups. A single bolded word, 8 questions involving straightforward comprehension and those more abstract pieces. There's also one document in here that can be used for almost any passage. They're very general. They're not specific to a reading. So if you're looking for just quick comprehension practice, this would be a go-to worksheet. And then once we've worked through all of these, and I've noticed that I have a couple students that are stronger in gaining their own comprehension, they can go off and do this podcast assignment by themselves, or we do it as a whole group. I have done both with my students. So this podcast is called The Unexplainable Disappearance of Mars Patel. And with each assignment, there is a link to the page that will display and play each podcast episode, as well as a set of questions. So there are not many questions. A lot of them are answers. So they would have to type in, and there are a few multiple choice. So each episode has its own set of questions. There really is no right or wrong because a lot of these questions are inferencing and predictions. The point of them is that the listener is acting as a detective. I've had students do this independently and love it, and I've had students do it in a small group and love it as well, where we listen as a group and then we answer the questions as a group. So that is my comprehension project. If you want to join the class and really look through all of my materials, here is the class code. Feel free to join. Thank you so much.